EA has done a number of bad things in the past. Okay, a lot of terrible things. But probably the most outrageous thing they ever did to prepubescent me was on July 14th of 2015. The day they axed the holy trifecta of free-to-play games in Battlefield Heroes, Battlefield Play4Free, and Need for Speed World. Now let me give you a bit of retrospective background first. The year is 2012. Justin Bieber was still in his pre-edgy state, the NHL was in its 4th logout in history, and people thought the world was going to fucking end. Seriously, does everyone remember that? There's a tie-in movie and everything. Little old me was on his computer doing the usual, playing big hit games like Minesweeper and the critically acclaimed Solitaire, while my friends were wasting away in games like Black Ops 2 and Battlefield 3. As much as I pitied them, my games were strictly single player, and without an appropriate console and game, I couldn't experience the latter multiplayer titles with them. Luckily for me, my brother happened to stumble upon a little game made by the fine indie company EA called Battlefield Heroes. And oh my god, this game was, well actually I thought it was pretty stupid at first. Like, what the hell, this is a goddamn cartoon I see Saturday morning on YTV and Cartoon Network. It's not a shooter. It's a mockery of the third person shooter genre, a little disgrace that should be. That was pre-enlightened me though. Once I got past the seemingly goofy graphics and kid-friendly exterior, I really got a chance to dive into the meaty goodness that was Battlefield Heroes. And man, was it fucking good. For anyone that's ever played any Battlefield before, you know what it's all about. 2 teams, big maps, vehicles galore, classes and combat, left, right, and straight down the middle. Battlefield Heroes took that framework and blended it with its own unique charm to create a game like no other. For its time anyway. While it still maintained that same Battlefield goodness with its large-scale battles, access to vehicles, and seamlessly endless way to eliminate enemies, it also made innovations that complemented its strengths while playing to its weaknesses. Sure, it was a cartoony game that at times looked like a cancelled PBS TV show, but with its vibrant colors and overall goofiness, it gave way to many possibilities. You want to be a World War II trench fighter? You got it. Want to be a mutated werewolf on the battlefield? Be my guest. Want to be an action star with sunglasses and jacked-ass body? By all means. Want to style on your enemies by playing the goddamn trumpet over the rotting corpse? Yes. Yes, fucking please. Your appearance and persona were only limited to your imagination. I still have memories of all the wacky skins, emotes, abilities, and promotions that would come with every patch release, inevitably seeing them with my own eyes on the battlefield as I was torn to shreds by them. And torn to shreds I was. Like I said, this was still a Battlefield game, and similar to all of its predecessors, it still had that class system intact. For heroes, you had your mid to long range soldier, your tanky frontline gunner, and your long arm specialist in the commando. Unless you want to be a wild west buccaneer with a pistol or an up close and personal assassin with a knife, you can do that too with a commando. The point is, there was a plethora of options available depending on your playstyle, and even more once you got into the class itself. See, each class had a variety of weapons and more importantly skills that could be upgraded to give yourself a meaningful edge. Off the top of my head, soldiers had a basic AoE heal, burning bolts that dealt damage over time, a volley of hand grenades, a knockback ability, and a sixth sense ability that revealed nearby enemies. Gunners had an accuracy buff which, well, increased the accuracy of the gun, an explosive keg that dealt AoE damage, and like it, a speed up buff that turned anyone to the next Speedy Gonzalez. For commandos, you had a piercing shot that increased your sniper damage, a cloak ability that stealthed you, a mine trap that exploded on enemy contact, literal poison that inflicted extra damage with a knife, and a speed up elixir that left anyone in the dust. With these skills, you could really play how you wanted. Soldiers could be a front and backline force with its healing and scouting, or a one-man wrecking crew with grenades, burning bullets, and the power SWAT. As a commando, you could either take to the heights and shoot afar with a piercing shot and mines, or test your luck up close with your low HP bar along with a poison knife and elixir, utilizing your speed to outmaneuver and outsmart your opponents. Gunner as well, you can go fast and shoot hard. You can probably tell from my memory which classes I played. The Gunner, because with Leggett I become the literal definition of a mobile tank, laying waste to all enemies in my path. I love this game. Even though there will always be slight class advantages in any game, Heroes does a good job in its 3-class balancing act. I can still hear myself complaining about being knifed from the back, being roasted like a Christmas ham, and being steamrolled by Gunner's onslaught of bullets. I could go on, but you get the idea. Heroes features a nailed Battlefield formula coupled with its own unique quirks and charms and equipped with an abundance of customization oozing with personality and the ability to play any way you desired. Also, it lets you play in the fucking moon, so case closed 10 out of 10. I didn't think any other game could come close to meeting the standards I set as a 12-year-old boy, but then it came out. Now what? Not you. You're 3 years too early and still not that good. Jesus Christ, every time. Oh yes, that's the one. So, you see, at this point, the only kind of Battlefield I ever experienced was A, Battlefield Heroes, B, Battlefield gameplay I'd seen in videos, and C, Star Wars Battlefront 2. But that's a story for another day though. The point is, I had yet to truly try my hand at a legitimate, realistic Battlefield title. So when this game was brought to my attention, I was on the hook. As I said, I've never played an actual realistic Battlefield title, but according to an 8-year-old IGN review, it says, each different aspect of gameplay, flying planes, driving tanks, and jeeps, running and gunning, feels completely different, but perfectly natural for what it is. So I'm gonna say it was pretty spot on. For a Battlefield newbie like me though, it was almost everything I'd ever dreamt of. You had your vehicles and your tanks, planes, Humvees, helicopters, 4 classes, objective-based combat, and pretty much carbon copy maps from Bad Company 2. Which sounds kind of lame and lazy, but for many people, including myself, that had only seen the dirty streets of Oman, playing in it was something else altogether. Like Heroes, each class had their own set of strengths and weaknesses based within their overall weapons and skills. At a bare bones level, medics were equipped with LMGs and medkits to support and heal allies, Assault had assault rifles and ammo kits acting as an all-round unit, Engineers had submachine guns, RPGs, and a vehicle repair tool acting to destroy and fix vehicles, and Recon was decked with sniper rifles and motion sensors to engage from a distance, as well as provide support from intel. Oh yeah, knives. Everyone had their own knife. That was fun. This was only the tip of the iceberg though, as Play4Free also supported its own skill tree that allowed players to adjust stats to their own playstyle. For 2019 standards, this is nothing special, but for 2012, it does a fine job in giving the player meaningful choices, especially as a free-to-play game. All classes had their own unique upgrades like medics with their defibrillators and a flare for spawning teammates, assault with their smoke grenades and C4 charges, engineers with vehicle landmines and airburst grenades, and recon with their claymores and mortar strikes. On top of this though were additional upgrades and quality of life traits that gave bonuses to vehicles and combat abilities, like increased speed, grenade indicators, and this piece of shit. I can't count the amount of times I've been killed by this. It's basically the equivalent of strapping a 20-pound bomb onto yourself when you get into combat, because it causes you to fucking explode upon death, incinerating anyone in a 10-block radius. Oh, it says 1 to 4 meters. Same thing. So whether you're a vehicle head that takes to the sky, or rolls in the streets like the maniac you are, or a foot soldier looking to wreak havoc on the low and high of the battlefield, you were given tools that allow you to excel in whatever you choose to do. Even though this is a more realistic take on the Battlefield genre, Play4Free still carries over aspects of Heroes customization as it provides you with plenty of ways to express yourself. Although it doesn't carry the same kind of tone as Heroes, it's still a nice touch that's added on. This game wasn't Heroes, but I appreciate what it was able to bring to the table in its time and age. 7 out of 10. Brilliant. And last, but not least, tying in the Trinity force that is EA's long-dead Play4Free model, Need for Speed World. Now I'm no carhead or anything crazy like that, but I have played a few racing games, especially Need for Speed titles. From Need for Speed 2015, Most Wanted 2012, the story-driven Need for Speed Run, Need for Speed Shift, and my favorites in Hot Pursuit and Underground. The first one, the real good one. In the world of racing games, Need for Speed has always been known for its fast-paced, arcadey style of gameplay with a large array of customization. Most of them anyways. In general, Need for Speed didn't have that same kind of realism and sense of simulation other games like Forza and Gran Turismo had, but its unique blend it brought has lended itself to some great gameplay that many people have enjoyed for a number of years. The franchise's 15th release was of course Need for Speed World, a game that took the series' staple gameplay and mixed it with MMO elements in a free-to-play format. And I'm not just saying staple gameplay because it's fast arcadey fun. Wait, that's actually exactly what I'm getting at. But also because it takes large inspiration from arguably the 2 most loved games in the franchise's history, Need for Speed Most Wanted, 2005, and Need for Speed Carbon. And by inspiration, I don't just mean purely feel and control. I mean they literally yanked out sections of their map and ported them into the game. Now similarly to Play4Free, this might seem kind of lazy and cheap, but from my perspective, it's a good way to appease multitudes of people. Those that like Most Wanted, 2005, and Carbon get a chance to explore the cities of Rockport and Palmont again, and for new players, they get to see these iconic areas for the first time. Because newsflash, new doesn't always equal better! Just look at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
It will be jaw-dropping and incredibly emotional to walk into the land for the first time, to actually be standing there amongst the buildings, amongst the ships, and have this feeling that it is all real, that has been brought to life, and it is like
can't be that bad. Alright, here it is. Galaxy's Edge takes place within the village of Black Spire Outpost on the wild frontier of Batu? Who cares? Where's Mos Eisley Cantina? Freaking Coruscant, the goddamn planet of Kamino! Integration is great, but it boils down to execution. And the world does do a good job in this, is on top of housing these two existing cities, it also expands and adds locations within Rockport and Palmont to flesh out the world as a whole. And in this world, there's a shit ton of stuff to do. I mean, like a shit ton. I mean, you got your normal races like circuits, sprints, drag, and then my personal favorite, Team Escape, where you and a group of other racers have to evade the police in a timed event.
4-6. I got hit on.
During each of these events, you get the standard racing gameplay spiced up with a multitude of power-ups in a Mario Kart-esque kind of style. Every event had their own type of power-ups which were appropriate for the mode. Like for races, there was Slingshot, which increased your car's performance, Traffic Magnet that pulled oncoming traffic towards the leading racer, while Pursuits had Emergency Invade, which pushed back all cars, Run Flats that reinflated tires after getting hit with spike strips, and much more. Of course, there were some power-ups that were open to all events, such as the beloved Nitros and Juggernaut, which turned the front of any car into a Class 100 battering ram. While these abilities did create more hectic games, none of them were too overtuned and actually provided a more exciting experience. For those that didn't want to race though, you could always head back to your garage and host your own episode of Pimp My Ride. And for many car fans, you'll be happy to know there's a large array of options. From body kits, spoilers, hoods, rims, tinted windows, lowering kits, license plates, paints, vinyls, and neon lights. It's all there. Oh yeah, and there's some performance stuff too. These all played a part in adjusting your car's performance in the form of top speed, acceleration, and handling. In terms of car options, a large selection ranged from the humble Volkswagen Golf to supermodels in the Bugatti Veyron. All of these cars were separated into classes though, so you would never find yourself in an event where you were completely mismatched. However, if you didn't want to do any of that stuff, you could literally just chill with the multitudes of people as you phase in and out of each other's cars and just relax, chat, and do whatever you want. There's literally this one location where people are just doing flips and jumps. This is one of the great things about the MMO element. The world is literally your playground. And if you do get tired and just want to drive by yourself taking in the sights of the world, you could do that too. But excitement was never far away, because you could always just ram yourself into the nearest cop car and start your own GTA star meter just to see how much damage you could cause.
A wanted suspect just ripped by me. Details on my PDT. Hold on here. I'm gonna try to catch up with him.
With so much to do coupled with great gameplay, World was a thrilling game that let you drive, race, customize, and interact with a colorful community. Overall, 8 out of 10. Would definitely play again. So, the next chance you get, take a look at these games and try them out yourselves. Oh, wait, right, EA. So, 5 years have passed since this holy trifecta was put to bed, and I still remember these games very fondly. I may be slightly cowed by some rose-tinted glasses, but taking a look at these games again, I can say for a fact that they were, and are, good titles. Sure, there are some faults to be had, but at the core there's a fun and enticing experience. I hadn't mentioned this up to this point, since all these games suffer from the same inherent problem, because, well, it's the same company, and of course, it's a free-to-play game, but yes, microtransactions are apparent. Whether it's in unlocking weapons and skins and heroes and play for free, or obtaining some vehicles in World, this model does exist. For my younger self, I hated this. Why am I locked behind certain equipment and special items? It didn't make sense to me. Being a bit older now though, I do realize that this kind of model is needed, especially for free-to-play games, since this is their main way of making revenue. I mean, they're not exactly selling the core game or anything, so you have to earn money somehow. And even though actually using real-world money could get you items and such faster, you were in no way forced to make any purchases in order to have a good time.
What's this guy doing? He's like trying to stab me or something. Get out of here. He's my own teammate. Yeah, he's my own teammate. Get out of here, you goof.
In-game credits could still be used, all that was needed was an investment of time and patience. On top of that, one of the great things about these games was that there was a plethora of community events and celebrations that provided players great rewards. Maybe it was some clothing, a new gun, or a sleek and stylish car, you name it. There was always something coming down the pipeline to draw you back into the game. And that's probably what I missed the most. These games were fun, but what truly brought everything together was the community, the devs, and all the players part of it. Up to the very end of these games, there was still content being released and interaction being made within the community and the higher ups. It's a shame that EA no longer saw the promise in these titles, believing that they are not as popular as they once were, when in reality, there was a group of devoted people committed to these games, and with even more time and dedication, these games could have continued to be a staple in the free-to-play market. I still remember when I first saw Wicked Wake and Heroes. I was too blind to see any announcements, so when I jumped into the map, my stupid ass thought this was some kind of glitch, a secret leak prototype that I happened to stumble upon. The main reason I thought this was because there was no one else in the lobby, no one. Well, except one person. Now I don't recall the name, but there was another player on this map, and he too thought this map was some kind of weird look into the secrets of EA's Battlefield Heroes. Yeah, we were both idiots. We both could have left the game at any time, but we didn't. We stayed together, communicated in the chat, and just had a grand old time messing around. Sadly, I don't think I ever ended up friending him, and we never saw each other again. But what happened on that day will always stick with me, as all these games will. They weren't perfect. They had flaws, but at the end, they provided a fun experience that brought many people together in the world of Play for Free.